do I have the right to want to see to it that Barack Obama is a one-term president? He's president, so he has a right to a second term. And at least that's the way the left evidently sees it at the moment. Because Mitch McConnell, who is the Republican leader in the Senate, and I would remind you that he's in the minority, he said his number one priority is to make sure that Barack Obama is a one-term president. Now, considering he's a Republican and a Republican leader, I don't know, you might find that a perfectly ordinary statement. Another way to read it is, I'm not going to work for his reelection. Okay, Obama's a Democrat, McConnell's a Republican. That's just sort of normal, isn't it? Well, actually, no, it's not normal anymore, especially over at the Obama Network, where it's just shocking that anybody would say, I just don't want this guy to be president after 2012.
That is embarrassing. I want to take control of the Senate so I can worry about an election 2 years away.
In a Juan Williams-fired world, everybody is looking to sharpen the divisions, clarify the differences, and fire up the base. And that may be more of what we see over the next 2 years than in 95, 96.
Can I just say for the record, that is pathetic.
That is pathetic. That is pathetic. To demand Republicans to work for the president's reelection, or they're not showing their loyalty to the country, is just absurd. It's just off the charts stupid. What Republican wants to see Barack Obama reelected in 2012? None. Except those that are lying that they're Republicans. And yet over there on the left, it's just shocking. These people are trying to make this guy a one-term president. This is just off the charts.
99ers, pay attention to this. You see, he's worried about paving a way for the Republican president in 2012. McConnell spilled the beans in an interview with the National Journal's reporter, Major Garrett.
I just had to stop that. Spilled the beans? This is news? That a Republican doesn't want to see Barack Obama reelected president? This is a headline somehow?
He went on to say, our single biggest political goal is to give our nominee for president the maximum opportunity to be successful. We need to work smarter than we did in 1995. You know, I am just absolutely floored by that statement.
And I am absolutely floored that you are such an idiot. You are such a complete jerk. What do you fascists expect? This guy's hanging on to power. Yes, he holds the White House for 2 more years, and you expect everybody to fall in behind and march in lockstep.
But what is the job? Adding jobs, entitlement reform, extending the Bush tax cuts? Try none of the above. According to McConnell, for the next 2 years, quote, the single most important thing we want to achieve is for President Obama to be a one-term president. Bottom line, for the next 2 years, the Republican leader has admitted that the bar for support on legislation is set at, will it hurt President Obama, and might it help the Republican presidential nominee in 2012? Snooky.
Perfect.
I mean, look, if I were the left-wing crowd wanting to help President Obama, I would be praying for a Republican Congress to block every bit of the legislation he could possibly imagine.
Jam it all up.
Because everything he does screws him. Because it first screws the country. Now, these guys think it's a horrible, horrible thing to wish that this president fails and is there turned out of office, and that is a far cry from just not that long ago.
In that moment, Mr. Bush, you broke that fundamental compact between yourself and the majority of this nation's citizens, the ones who did not cast votes for you. Yeah. In that moment, Mr. Bush, you ceased to be the president of the United States. In that moment, Mr. Bush, you became merely the president of a rabid and irresponsible corner of the Republican Party. And this is too important a time, sir, to have a commander-in-chief who puts party ahead of nation.
Okay, now if that's the setup, what's the what would be the solution for this Mr. Bush, whoever he is, being president and so many people mad?
I accuse you of subverting the Constitution, not in some misguided but sincerely motivated struggle to combat terrorists, but instead to stifle dissent. I accuse you of fomenting fear among your own people, of creating the very terror you claim to have fought. Even Richard Nixon knew it was time to resign. Would that you could say that, Mr. Bush.
Oh, resign.
And that you could say it for Mr. Cheney. You both crossed the Rubicon yesterday. Which one of you chose the route no longer matters. Which is the ventriloquist and which is the dummy is now irrelevant. But that you have twisted the machinery of our government into nothing more than a tawdry machine of politics is the only fact that remains relevant.
Boy, they were really upset then. What'd they want to happen?
We of this time and our leaders in Congress of both parties must now live up to those standards which echo through our history.
Yeah, what?
Pressure, negotiate, impeach.
Impeach!
Get you, Mr. Bush, and Mr. Cheney, two men who are...
Impeach! We wanted to impeach. All Mitch McConnell's trying to do is say we want to beat him in his re-election effort.
And he's a heretic.
And he's a heretic. These guys want to impeach Bush. Hey, just impeach him. But let's make this personal, since Bathtub Boy does. In the great tradition of I accuse, as if a guy who is swelling up on the set as we watch him has any right to accuse a president of anything. I am in favor of Barack Obama not winning his re-election battle. Is there something wrong with that?
John Gibson of Fixed News, today's worst person in the world.
Always striving to be the worst to Bathtub Boy.
You should crawl off into a hole and die.
But the best to you. John Gibson.